So this is a video. This is the third video at continuation of Playa Nancite. So really, the word Nancite comes from Nance, which is in the family Malpighiaceae. And this, I'm using older taxonomy, and it's just a tree that grows in usually grows in the little hills around Nancite. This is really where it comes from. So here's Playa Nancite, and I used to live here for 2 summers. And it's actually a really cool place. It's like a deserted beach. Here's the station. This could have changed. Here's the beach full of shells. Right here, there's the water hole from Noses of Nancite. And there's really two ways to get here. The first one is through a rope. In this rope, you walk through a very nice forest over here. It's actually one of the big forests in the area, and you go through a mangrove swamp, so you end up seeing several ecosystems. This mangrove is really interesting, and there's an alligator that used to live here, and they used to call him Tosti, but it's probably dead now. This is about 20 years ago. So you go down the rope, and then you have to walk. You can only do this in the low tide or mid tide, and then you walk all the way to Playa Naranjo. But there's no road access to here. I mean, you could probably bring in boats, and I think the people who film Noses of Nancite would really bring boats. So as a recap, Nancite is interesting because of the olive ridleys, Lepidochellis olivacea, the turtles, olive ridleys, Lepidochellis olivacea. It's interesting because there's a couple other species that nest here, but this is the most interesting one. It's interesting because of the preserved habitat, this water hole here, the really good views of Witch's Rock, so you can go up to a lookout here. And then there's another hike. So there's two ways, one through a rope and one through a hike. There's another, so Playa Naranjo is the largest, then you have Nancite, and then you have Tule over here, which is very remote and very inaccessible, and it's actually even a more remote beach. But hiking around this hills is very scenic. You see the ocean, you're carrying water. I used to do this quite a lot, so I used to hike all over the beaches of Nancite to get from one place to another. You need a special permit to come here, so you cannot just show up. And then there's a tribe or a group, I forgot the generic name, of pigs, wild pigs that live here. I forgot if it was collared peccaries or Sainos, or I forgot the common name for these two larger mammals. There's also quite a lot of cougars. This habitat favors cougars, this open exposed area. It favors pumas. And then in wider vegetation areas like Playa Naranjo, there are other larger animals like tapirs and jaguars. So if you go in, as I mentioned before, if you go on a long hike from Nancite, like 8 hours, it's really tenuous and there's really not a lot of water. You get to Potrero Grande, which is also known as Ollie's Point, because it's a great wave to surf, which is a left wave, a right wave that's really relevant. And Ollie's Point comes from Oliver North, the guy who participated in the Iran-Contra conflict, but I'm not gonna get into this. So we have, as I said, Tule, Nancite, Playa Naranjo, aka Witch's Rock. And the term Witch's Rock really comes from Peña Bruja. So it's really a cliff, not necessarily a rock, but it's just a lot easier to say Witch's Rock, and this is really the surfer name. And this area is also very interesting. So Playa Naranjo has a very interesting area because it's a lot larger than Nancite, and it has a lot bigger forests. So it has really like two camping sites. It had a camping site here, which was right by the estuary. I don't know if it's still there. Here's the Witch's Rock, and here's Naranjo Station. And right here, there's the outskirts of the park. So I hiked all of this area. Like there are like several rivers that come back and forth. And there's a big estuary. So this used to be a very hard road. This actually is road accessible. So this used to be hard place to get in the winter because it's just very hard to get. But it has a wider range of habitats. It has the same habitats in Nancite, but to a larger scale. So it supports larger populations of larger mammals such as deer, as I mentioned before, jaguars and tapirs, which are really hard to see. Smaller cats. It's just a very wild area. And one of the reasons this area is so interesting is because of surfing. This has allegedly some of the best waves in the world. And this is because it has something called perennial offshore wind, which is caused by the trade winds, which are caused by the rain shadow that's here. And I'm really not gonna get into the surfing part of it because this is really a biology video. But people from all over the world come to surf this way because of this shape. And the best places to surf are usually right in front of the rock. I used to wake up in Playa Nancite at 3 a.m. just to surf here with no people. So Playa Naranjo also has crocs. The crocs come here and move over here. So Costa Rica has two species of crocodilians. And I believe that this area only has the Cocodrilus acutus, the one that is used to salt water, not the caiman. And it also is also known for a lot of logger, for leatherback turtles, which is the largest turtle. So there's a lot of nesting sites, but I believe there's not the phenomenon of arriadas. It's also, the beach is quite interesting because you can see Pelamis planurus, which is a marine snake washed offshore sometimes when the climatic conditions change. And then a lot of this habitat is just used to be on a huge farm, a huge hacienda, but it's been preserved again. And there's huge trees in this area. There's a lot of the main species of dry forest trees are represented here, including the Guanacaste, the pochote, Guanacaste, Enterolobium pochote, Bombacopsis, which is used to be related to kapok. I have to double check. There's a lot of Nancite as well, the Malpighiaceae I was talking about. And there's quite a lot of bird diversity as well. And also reptile diversity, etc., etc. Okay, so let me know if you have questions about this area. I can start getting into some of the other areas around here, but this is really focusing on the areas that I know the best, which are Playa Naranjo, Nancite, and Tule.